We begin this morning talking with OSU Extension entomologist Dr. Jonathan Cammack about fly and tick management for your cattle herd this spring and summer. Let's start with ticks, Jonathan.
Certainly. We've got kind of some timely issues right now, and that is with Asian longhorn ticks. So it's a topic that we've discussed, I guess, off and on over the past 2 years since they entered the state. But given the time of year that we're at, this is when we start to expect to see that nymphal stage that's been overwintering, hiding in the leaf litter, kind of in our wooded areas, start to come out and be active, look for a host animal to feed on.
Where are they in the state right now?
So right now we've got them confirmed in Craig County and Mays County, and that hasn't changed that we're aware of since they were first documented in the state in 2024. But given that they're present in Missouri and Arkansas, really kind of that northeast corner of the state is where producers need to be on the lookout. So from Sequoyah County up to Ottawa County, kind of that kind of range of maybe 6 to 8 counties, kind of in that corner of the state is where producers should be looking.
We've talked off and on about Asian longhorn tick, and you get a lot of inquiries, but for those who maybe are newer to the state or need a refresher, why this tick in particular is concerning?
Sure, there's a couple of reasons. One, it's a non-native species, so we don't necessarily have some of the natural control options that would maybe be present in the environment. They also have a strange reproductive strategy in comparison to our native species. So they reproduce asexually through a process known as parthenogenesis. So they don't need a male basically. So the females are able to lay eggs without having to have that added challenge of finding a mate in the environment. So populations of them can get very large very quickly, and we can see in some states where they have established populations of them, hundreds if not thousands of Asian longhorn ticks present on a single animal.
It sounds a little scary, but luckily there's treatment options.
Yes, so there have been a lot of studies conducted kind of around the country and around the world actually, because this is a pest that's been spreading for about 125 years at this point to a lot of different locations. And what we know is that essentially products that are labeled for tick control are effective against Asian longhorn ticks. So as long as you've got maybe a pyrethroid or some other product that's an acaricide or labeled for managing ticks in general, what we've seen from laboratory studies is that they are effective against Asian longhorn ticks.
What's the best time for that application?
So there have been a couple of studies that have kind of looked at kind of all-encompassing ways to manage them. And typically what we see is that a springtime treatment of a synthetic pyrethroid works really well. So as you're working the animals, maybe giving them the dewormers and checking them out for the springtime before they get released out on the pastures, go ahead and treat their bodies with a pyrethroid and spray that material on them where you see those ticks, and that should take care of them.
Let's switch gears. It's really nice out here. Not many flies this morning, but it's a matter of time when it comes to hornflies and cattle. What kind of guidance are you giving producers at this stage in the spring?
Certainly, it is a beautiful day here in Stillwater, but we can think about the state and how the weather patterns change. So, hornflies, we typically start to see them become a problem in the southeast corner of the state first. So, McCurtain County, Idabel, and then as the weather warms up, we start to get our springtime rains. We see those populations move a little bit further north. So usually about beginning of March, we'll see them in kind of the Idabel area, and then maybe beginning of April, we start to see them become active in maybe woodward areas, so the northwest corner of the state.
And then because the season's long, once it starts really warming up, is it important to kind of stagger your treatment approach?
Definitely. So one of the best things producers can do right now is start providing their animals with a feed-through insect growth regulator. So go down to the co-op, your local feed store, and get a mineral block or a mineral tub that's got some sort of an insect growth regulator in it. That way the animals, your cattle are going to consume that mineral, and that pesticide product is essentially going to pass through their digestive tract and end up in the manure. And so what we want to do is have as many of the manure pats in the pasture already treated with that pesticide product. So when the hornflies do start to arrive and lay their eggs in those manure pats, that pesticide will kill the larvae that will be developing in the manure.
What is the best time then to use ear tags?
Yeah, so that's a tricky one, right? Everybody wants to do it during spring break when they've got the, maybe the extra help or the free help that might be home from school, but that's typically a little too early. Most ear tags are going to give us about 3 to 4 months worth of control, depending on the on how hot it is, the chemical that's in that ear tag, and maybe the manufacturer of that product, because some products are a little bit better than others. We see that with all pesticide products, basically. And so we really want to wait. Maybe May to June would be in an ideal situation. End of May, beginning of June would be the best time to tag. But also it's starting to get a little hot, so producers have to weigh stress on the animals and employees versus effective hornfly management. But certainly, if you're tagging now, those tags are going to essentially lose their efficacy by June, July, and hornfly season is going to peak in July and August.
We're talking broad recommendations today, but producers can always check in with their local extension office.
That's right. The ag educator that's in each county is going to have great recommendations for what works in that local environment.
All right. Thanks a lot. And we will see you again soon. And for a link to your local county OSU Extension office, we have it for you at sunup.okstate.edu.